A beautiful painting that shows this lovely lady leaning on a pot. She looks a bit lost in her thoughts. Perhaps she's thinking about her love. This seems like a normal painting, right? Nothing seems out of place, no weird monsters popping in the background, no hidden demons as well. Let me just do a quick search to see what's the story behind this painting. Oh shit. The painting you're seeing might look very normal, but it hides a disturbing and dark meaning, quite literally. This basil pot here has a human head inside of it. If that sounds weird, get this. The head was kept inside by this woman. I know, you have dozens of questions. Why is she leaning on the pot? What is she thinking? Perhaps getting another head for her rose pot? Well, the actual story this painting shows is sad and depressing. And that's why we are going to know about the story in detail. Because I read about it, and I'll share the trauma with you guys as well. I don't know what's wrong with me that I keep finding these paintings, but here we go. In this episode of Artsite, we're looking at Isabella and the Pot of Basil, which is a painting with probably the darkest hidden meaning. Isabella and the Pot of Basil was painted by William Holman Hunt. I've also made a video of one of his other paintings. If you have seen it, you might remember that this painter had a knack for hiding subtle messages in his paintings. And the same is true in this case. At first sight, this painting looks magnificent. I mean, look at the details here. Remember that we are not looking at a printed image or a photograph. Every little thing that you see here has been painted by hand, from the texture of the cloth that shows how thick it is, to the reflection of this shiny watering can on the wooden surface of the desk. Look at the details on this tapestry that is barely visible. The artist could have just not included it, but it did. Oh, by the way, he also painted another smaller version of this painting that is just as detailed as this one. Take a look at it and see if you can find any differences. Did you get it? Well, the only main difference between the two paintings is here. The pattern on the wooden desk is different. Well, what can we say? Hunt took his job very seriously. Talking about serious things, let's get into the meat of the matter, the story behind this painting. The subjects of the painting are Isabella, the lady you see here, and the Pot of Basil. Hunt has painted a scene from John Keats's poem Isabella or the Pot of Basil. The poem was adapted from an Italian story called Decameron, where the name of the girl was Lisabetta, but Keats changed the name to something more familiar for the British people. There have been many other paintings that depict scenes from this story, especially this particular scene as it is the most powerful one. Here's the essence of the story. Isabella was the daughter of a wealthy merchant. After the death of her father, her three brothers inherited all of his wealth and his businesses. The names of the brothers are irrelevant to this video, but as you can see in this painting by John Everett Millay, they do not look like decent men at all. But let's ignore them for a moment. Take a look at this side of the table. This man is Lorenzo, and he worked for Isabella's brothers. But more than that, he was in love with Isabella. And so was Isabella. Isabella also falls for Lorenzo, but for obvious reasons, her brothers do not like that. In the story, one of her brothers finds Isabella meeting Lorenzo in the middle of the night, but he keeps shush. This painting shows the moment when the brothers start to plot the murder of Lorenzo. There are some subtle hints scattered around this painting as well. Notice the basil pot in the background? That's the future residence of Lorenzo, unfortunately. Then notice that Lorenzo is offering Isabella a cut blood orange, another nod to the upcoming beheading of Lorenzo. Then there's the hawk, the scattered salt on the table, this dude scheming something while holding his wine glass. Clearly, he knows nothing about subtlety. The painter did a great job of making the viewers hate the three brothers. I mean, look at this idiot, kicking a dog. With the introduction out of the way, let's move ahead with the story. So the brothers take Lorenzo to the countryside in the guise of some work, but then they murder him and bury his body. After days pass, Isabella asks her brother about Lorenzo. They say he'll stay in the countryside for some time, and poor Isabella could not do anything but cry and wait for her love. But then one night, she sees a dream in which Lorenzo tells her about what happened and even gives her the exact location where his body has been buried. Isabella then goes to the burial site, and to her surprise, the body is completely fine with no signs of decay. Unable to carry his entire body, Isabella decides to cut his head off and give it a proper burial. So she wrapped Lorenzo's head in a cloth and carried it back with her. Then she took the basil pot, kept the head inside, planted the basil with soil, and tended to it every day. She also watered the plant with her own tears. With time, the basil grew lush and fragrant. There have been many other paintings that show a heartbroken, distressed Isabella leaning on the basil pot. This painting by John White Alexander shows a dark and grim rendition of the scene. The constricted space, a single source of harsh light, and the grey tones enhance the dark mood of the scene. But out of all the paintings, this version by Hunt became the most popular one, due to many reasons. Of course, the amount of details in this painting is astounding, but there's more to it that makes it stand apart from the rest. Notice that you can see Isabella's bedroom in the background. The sheets are all undone and it seems it's the middle of the night. So perhaps this moment shows how Isabella could not sleep at night, and her sadness took her by a wave, forcing her to leave the comfort of her bed and just cry over the basil pot. That's the reason why this painting gets so much attention. But apart from being a beautiful rendition of a sad scene, this painting was also special for the painter. Notice that in all other variants of the scene, Isabella has the features of a European woman. But here, she looks like someone from a Mediterranean country. That's because before starting the painting, Hunt's wife, Fanny Worf, died due to a fever after childbirth. So to dedicate this painting to her, he modeled Isabella loosely on her. It took Hunt almost 2 years to complete this painting. And one can clearly see that from the amount of details in the painting. By the way, there's another painting by Strudwick that shows what happened later. Here you can see Isabella looking at the pot stand. Outside, we can see her brothers taking away the basil pot after they discover that Lorenzo's head is inside it. And that was all about the painting Isabella and the Pot of Basil. This is the interesting thing about paintings. Even something that looks so beautiful at first sight can hide such dark stories underneath. Thank you for staying with me and giving me your precious time. I hope you liked the video. If you did and haven't subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe and support me. That's all the support I need to make this channel big. Till we meet next time, have a great day ahead.